Thank you very much and good morning.
Good morning.
I'm always happy when I'm a third speaker because it makes my work very easy. You know, when you go to the Court of Appeal, you always see three judges. When the first one speaks, reads the judgment, the second one says, I concur. The third one says, I have nothing useful to add. So thank you very much. Oh, you still want to hear from me? I think my colleagues have already solved all the problems why we are here. After our 20 years journey, somebody was asking me, VAT is over 26 years, why did we say 20? And I said, when we say you are celebrating 20th anniversary, it straddles to 29th. So you shouldn't worry. I think that everything has been said and we've all seen the good sides of VAT in terms of revenue generation. The other one I want to add is the fact that at least we have a certainty of tax base. And that has been one of the biggest challenges in revenue mobilization. You cannot hide, you can run. Unless you decide you won't wear clothes, then you won't pay VAT. You won't enjoy services, then you won't pay VAT. So it gives us a stable base where if we want the revenue we can get. But it gets bad and moves to ugly when you overdo it. It's just like everything. If they say wine is good for your heart, if you take too much, it will end you in trouble. So that is the problem I think we have, and policy makers, we are glad they are here, will take notice. The other challenge that I find bad with our VAT over the period is the inconsistency in policy. And my boss policy advisor will agree with me. Because like Honorable Sekpa said, we had VAT flat rate. We withdrew it. What made us introduce it? What made us reduce it? What is giving us the thinking to bring it back? And what have we done to ensure why we removed it has been corrected? Because now the agitations are still there, should be withdrawn. Because of the uneven playing field, as Honorable Sekpa said, if I'm bringing in an item and I'm charged the standard rate because the person I'm buying from is on the standard rate, I can't claim it as an input VAT. And so the bad thing is that the neutrality is gone because it shouldn't be part of my cost. Now I'll add it to my cost. And the cost of 100 is now 117.5. That's if I'm not going to claim the input tax. And now I have to add my margin and put 3% on it. And that leads to the other aspect Mr. Amo mentioned, the increasing price levels. You can't run away from it. Because if you look at the point where they were reintroducing the flat rate, I heard the Commissioner General, then Mr. Kofinti, mention when they interviewed him, if the flat rate trader is losing the neutrality, how does he get back his input tax credit? And the response is there. You can claim it from your prices. So that's an endorsement of price increase, or it is being called inflation. And the ugliest part of the second phase of flat rate was the fact that any accumulated input tax credit, you've lost it. That was not proper. And I was not surprised, and I was even happy when Honorable Clement Park and Honorable Dr. Ayini went to court and got justice. That it is my cost. You cannot pass a law with retrospective effect under Article 107B of the Constitution. I have incurred it. It's mine. Give it to me. And it wasn't difficult. It shouldn't have landed in court if we could judge and agree that policy-wise, practically, legally, it can't be done. But it had to land in court for the taxpayers to be given the right to claim any accumulated credit. That I found a little ugly. And why I'm saying the inconsistency in policies, if you would indulge me, look at the amendments to the VAT Act, Value Added Tax Amendment Act 2015, Act 890. It introduced flat rate. And then the refund account, and then the immovable property flat rate. then the excise books, the exemptions for excise books, pharmaceuticals. Then came Value Added Tax Amendment number 2, Act 2015, 904, increase monetary value for threshold for registration, and also a percentage, increase the percentage for the refund account. Then we come again, Value Added Tax Amendment Act 2017, Act 948, classifying financial services, domestic transport, and then giving further legal backing to the VAT flat rate. Then came Value Added Tax Amendment number 2, Act 2017. And what did it say? Remove VAT on stakes on National Lotto. Why am I talking about inconsistency? In the budget, we are now saying we want to go and tax gambling again. So why did we remove it? And that is where I'm talking about certainty in tax policies, which will give us the needed revenue. If we had continued, I'm wondering what would have raised by now. We had the same situation on the small-scale miners. We started with a flat fee of 5, it was removed. So we need to be considered. Value Added Tax Amendment Act 2018, Act 970, that was what revised the rate from the 10 to the 12.5. So you see that the good sides are there in terms of revenue generation, in terms of revenue base and certainty, but then we also have the challenge that Honorable Setekpe mentioned, the multiplicity, the cascading effect of the tax, communication service tax, and I keep saying there is no rule of international law against cascading effect of taxes. But when you overdo it, then you get all the calls, the demonstrations, the cries, which is what you have to avoid. Because I remember the saying that the best policy in taxation is to ensure you can plug as much feathers as possible from the goose with little hissing. So you tax the people that they are happy to even pay. I remember the launching of Professor Raymond Atugbe's work right here in this room on the tax culture in Ghana. And his finding was interesting, that Ghanaians indeed love to pay taxes. And what was it? He used the proxy, that if you go to the church, the mosques, if he's left with the person's last Ghana cedi, he would dance happily and drop it in the box and walk home. Why? He knows what the church will do for him. If he is bereaved, they will be there. If he's getting married, they will be there. And I used to add that when there is outdooring, they will be there, although they weren't invited to the indooring. So that is what people want to see, the tax revenue. What do we see from government to encourage us to continue paying? I was saying that if we have even nothing to show, can we publish what we pay? This is how much was raised. This was what went into it. People will get to even feel that we are not contributing enough. Same as we have with the petroleum revenues. I remember seeing your signatures, and now I'm seeing honorable signatures. You have to tell us how much was lifted, what was our share, how much did we raise. So we need to look at that for VAT. The good size, Honorable Setekpe and John mentioned it. Through VAT, although it came with a different name, which is the challenge for us teaching taxation. What is a tax? When we start giving them what I call surnames and middle names, levy, fee, then what is a tax? So I remember when Get Fund was being brought on board, it was mentioned that it is a smuggled VAT. That was the term that was used, backdoor. And so now another government comes, he has to also use the backdoor inhale. And so the backdoor approach continues, COVID levy. So when would we come out, once the policies are, we all can see what Get Fund has done in all the schools. And so it tells that people would be ready. There has been the argument that if we had even considered discussions to get a percentage increase in Get Fund to fund free SHS, it would have been more sustainable than our revenue use. It's about sensitization, education, discussions. When they buy into the idea, who doesn't want to get free education for his or her kids? So it is not the case that people don't like the tax or don't like increases, but once the rationale and the transparency is there, it will move from ugly to good. And then the issue of the cascading effect has been mentioned, and we are seeing it. I've always been pleading with tax policy advisor Daniel Noe, can we revert? He say, Akunda, don't start it. So if we can get it back into the input credit system, then we can get the neutrality being resolved and restored. As for the political economy, I think I wouldn't overemphasize. The Honorable mentioned it. Most of the issues are driven by political economy. Just as John mentioned, if you say value-added tax is value-augmented trouble, in fact, some people were calling it value-added troubles. And then it goes to create the whole political kind of problem for the GRA and Ministry of Finance in its presentation. The other bad thing I was seeing was when John mentioned the purposes, reasons for VAT, and I look today and ask, are they being achieved? What is missing? What can be done right? What can be corrected? Then we come back onto the lane. There seems not to be any whipping us in policy to come back, because I think that sensitization, education, and guidance for people to comply with the law is better than amending it to suit them, which is what has been happening with the VAT flat rate. When we started, it was good for retailers because of record-keeping challenges. But if it is extended to include manufacturers, indeed, there are some retailers, the volume of the activity, they even still want to voluntarily comply with the standard rate. Why are we denying ourselves that revenue? That, for me, is what I find very unacceptable, if I can use that hard word. And on the administration, I think that the problem started even from day one. Honorable is here. When they thought of VAT service, there were the argument. If VAT is replacing what John listed, sales tax, which was being collected and administered by customs, entertainment duty, hotel tax, gaming and gambling by the former Internal Revenue Service, then it means the capacity and staff exists. Did we need to create a new service? We went all the way from 94, 95, and then in 2009, we said, let's merge all of them again. They have Ghana Revenue Authority. And after merging them, still, we are not even looking at the expertise and competencies to handle. So you have VAT people struggling to appreciate direct tax people struggling to appreciate, and it creates a problem. That's the ugly side. When they come on an audit, we expect a team with VAT expertise, customs expertise, direct tax expertise, one-stop shop. They are done. They go away, the taxpayer does his business, government gets its revenue. But then you have all the arguments which makes the terrain very muddy. The last one I want to mention, which I think I would say is the ugliest, because if we have good, better, best, it should be ugliest. Over the years, all ministers of health, I won't leave any out, because you never went to health, so I would. All ministers of, I stand to be corrected, Mr. Noe, have they, any of them ever come out with the list of the medical supplies? The VAT Act says medical supplies are exempt. What are medical supplies? We are still battling up to date. And the law says the Minister of Health shall come out with a regulation giving us a list of what constitutes medical supply, so we can know. Now here we are in COVID times. Which one is medical supply? We have PPEs. Now they qualify, but have they been put there as medical supply? So a dealer in it would be exempt, and then we can solve, because if we have COVID levy, all these are to help fight COVID. Where is the list of medicals that the ministers of health must assist us to have? And the challenge of the mining sector and petroleum, I think it was mentioned that, well, some are saying that is part of why ExxonMobil left, some are giving other reasons, but whether whichever reason, there is a leaving, and they've left. The input tax in exploration and development. You know, the timing for which you can claim, there is no way a mine that is being developed can be completed and production will start within the 3-6 months to be able to claim the input. I know of a mining company that could not start operation since 1997 because the cost of taxes and duties alone to start the project is $177 million. And which shareholder would dump that? So I was asking, we could even think about tax equivalencies. We've flagged the 177 million, bring them in, we've flagged them, go and get the gold out. This gold is going. He has money, come to Bank of Ghana. Our 177, give it to us. But I understand. Governments plan 4-year term. They need the money now. They won't defer for you. That is our challenge. Thank you very much.